Welcome to Booklandia, where we review romance novels.
This and every episode are chock full of oversharing and spoilers. Every episode is rated E for explicit.
Oh my god, 10 seconds ago, less than that, 3 seconds ago, I was just like, I wonder what my dog is doing right now. Anywho, hi everybody. Welcome to Booklandia. I'm Ford.
And I'm Sky.
And we're going to talk to you about Business or Pleasure by Rachel Lynn Solomon. But my brain was not ready.
So sorry. My brain wasn't ready previous to that. And it would not be an episode of our show if it wasn't fraught with technical difficulties right before the recording.
Right. Or we were both significantly underprepared at all times.
True. So hello and welcome to Always Significantly Underprepared.
With Ford and Sky.
Yes. Great. So let's begin at the begin, which is
excellent.
A Cole Porter reference. But so here's the cover of the book for Business or Pleasure.
Yes.
This book just came out. Like 2 days ago it came out.
Still hot.
It's still hot
off
the press.
Yeah. I do want to point out that there's no prepositional phrase at the beginning of the title of this book.
Oh, it's just business or pleasure as opposed to for business or pleasure.
For is not a prepositional phrase.
I could not help you with this linguistic issue.
I am not an English major.
Okay, neither am I, unlike our protagonist.
That's true.
So cover of the book, kind of a cute. I thought they were in a dressing room though, and not on a bed.
Oh.
I thought they were like together in the dressing room, and all we saw were their socked feet.
Uh-huh.
This is where I take issue, though.
Okay.
He makes fun of her for wearing socks all the time.
Yeah.
On the cover, they're both wearing socks.
Yeah.
He takes his socks off all the time. Like, there's a whole thing about it. So someone didn't want to render naked feet.
Yeah. So you can't draw feet.
Can't draw feet.
Can't draw feet. Goodbye.
Perhaps, yeah. And so it's one of those things where, like, this never happened because he was always wearing socks.
Now, if the socks did have the Eye of Sauron on them,
would be adorable.
Or like Mountain of Mordor or something.
So that's the other thing. She's wearing socks, but they don't have a cute pattern on them.
That's true.
They're just yellow. I feel like it's important to now mention the fact that we are, in fact, wearing socks. Hold on. Thank you for that. Oh my god, I don't think I can do the same.
What if I lift your leg?
No, thank you. I have little bats, and you have little Cheez-Its.
I have Cheez-It socks.
Amazing.
Cheez-It, please come sponsor us.
Oh yeah, that would be excellent.
I would crunch through every episode. I am known in certain circles for the orange food consumption.
This would definitely fit the bill.
It would indeed. So Cheez-It.
Come at us, for sure. So I was very excited about Rachel Lynn Solomon releasing another book.
Yes.
I had no preconceived notions of this book. I had no idea what it was about because I literally was like, oh, Rachel Lynn Solomon is releasing a book. Yeah. I will be reading that book. End of sentence.
Yes.
I am a little bit glad I didn't know what it was about.
Sure. Okay. Would that have changed?
No, but it was just like an added bonus of adventure.
And just going on the ride.
Yes, it was great. It was great, and it was a good ride.
Yes,
I
was surprised that I picked it up so quickly because of how lightly singed I had felt from the previous two.
Agreed. Same. And immediately this book like swerves in a way that was hilarious and lovely.
So good.
And I still like that first sex scene is burned into my memory as somebody's worst day.
Do we want to tell the people what this book is about?
It's probably a good idea. Okay, so I guess I'm reading this because you wrote it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if I can do this.
All right. It's a
doozy?
It's an adventure.
It's an adventure.
There's
I like
so
that.
much punctuation.
All right, let's see if I can do this.
Okay, good luck.
Chandler Cohen, Jewish ghostwriter, has stopped taking chances on her life after her career in journalism dries up and her longtime crush doesn't want anything serious. In a fit of spontaneity, Chandler goes home with a striking stranger that has the worst sex of her life. The next day, she sits down at a work lunch to get a new ghostwriting job and is across from her worst sex stranger, who turns out to be a nearly washed-up actor from a paranormal teen TV show, Finnegan Walsh. Though she agrees to write his book, she also agrees to teach him how to be better at the sex. And when the book is done, their sex arrangement will be too. That was terrible of me. I read that terribly.
I wrote that terribly, so mutual.
Mutual worst sex?
Mutual worst blurb.
Perfect. Mutual worst blurb. Yes. It's a super cute premise.
Yeah.
It like that worst sex scene is so good bad. Like
Yes.
it's hilariously bad. I just kept cringing and laughing and reading some more and cringing some more.
Yes. And like it starts off so steamy and you're like, oh, this is going to be so great. But maybe this is a red herring. Maybe this is just the guy she sleeps with and the love interest is really her crush who denies her.
Right.
And I didn't know where it was going. And for it to be the basis of the premise of this whole book, just the best.
By the time she gets a call to go to the lunch, I knew that her sex stranger was going to be the person.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they would, like, I thought it would be, like, awkward and, like, will they, won't they? And I didn't know it was going to be very sex forward.
Yeah.
And very open and honest and so adult.
Right.
In terms of, like, their conversations and their ability to communicate with each other.
And the fact that he didn't have, like, fragile male ego about not being good at the sex.
Right.
Yeah. And that,
most adorable moment is the first time she shows him where her clitoris is actually located, and he just, like, face palms. Because he's like, oh. And it's just the cutest that he's like, oh no, I have never found this before, and it is now self-evident.
Yes.
It was adorable. It was very cute. They were a little sad that like a 30-something-year-old man just discovered the clitoris for the first time.
Right.
I bring it up later, but this speaks highly of the American sex education system. If a man in his mid-30s just now discovered where the clit is.
Yeah. They never say it overtly, but I do wonder if this is a little bit of like nerds. Don't know what to do. Like the nerds and not being like sexually promiscuous, like that whole stereotype.
I see. Well, perhaps there's a little bit of that too, but arguably in nerdhood you would learn, right? You're a good learner.
Right. You really can drill down, so to speak.
I was going to say
a topic.
You do a lot of research, not necessarily physical research, but like if there was available information, you would do the research. And I think the point is that there isn't openly available information.
Yeah. This book she talks about in the end the reference materials that she read, and one of them has been on my to-read list for a long time, which is the Emily Nagoski book. And I can't remember the title of it, but it has a pink zipper, like an open pink zipper that looks like a vagina on the cover.
Oh.
And it's about like sexuality and the sexual body and studies. Like it's supposed to be sort of the text. And I've read another book by Emily Nagoski. So like hell yes on the nonfiction front. Like
got it.
Run, don't walk about it.
Okay, so my very first question has to do with the fact that so my question is, who would you cast
Great.
In these roles? Because I was very clear on what he looks like.
Yes.
And
freckles, red hair.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I was a lot less sure of what she looks like. And I already peeked on who you cast as her.
Yeah.
And I have some comments.
Okay, great.
Okay, but please answer first so
great.
that everybody else knows.
So Chandler is blonde and Jewish, and they talk about her having short hair. And I think she talks about like having it all cut off. So I imagined my haircut or your haircut, but blonde and curly, soft. And like he talks about how soft it is. I don't know. He's always got his fingers in her hair. So I had to research answers for this question because I can't think of names off the top of my head. So I researched Jewish actresses. So my first one, this one's a little out of left center. Zoe Kravitz. The internet told me she is Jewish. I don't I did one Google search.
Okay.
She is sort of the most out of left field because this character is written as white, or I perceived as white.
Agree.
But she's the right age. She, I think, has the sort of, she can do the sort of neurotic, laid back personality of Chandler. The other, what's her name from Shameless? I don't know what her name is, but she played the oldest sister. Her. Great. It's going great. What's her name from Thor? It's Mew Mew.
Yes.
Cat?
Her first name is Kat. Yes.
Cat. I can't remember.
She was also on Two Broke Girls.
Yes.
That person.
That
Okay.
person. I like her a lot. I think she can do the quirky kind ofness of Chandler. And then like Mila Kunis, she's kind of the hot girl option. She's almost too pretty, I think. Not quite the girl next door, but the internet also told me she was Jewish. That could be wrong as well.
I mean, she is.
Oh, great. Excellent. Oh, yeah, you would know. You have a thing for her.
That's not entirely inaccurate.
Untrue, yes.
That is not entirely untrue. That is not what I was saying, but yes.
I feel like if you were at a dimly lit restaurant sitting across from Mila Kunis, you two would just speak Russian to each other in like low, sultry voices all night long. And then there'd be kissing.
I'm gonna not answer this.
Still not untrue.
Can I plead the fifth on this?
Yeah. And then for Finn, I was thinking about redheads, and so I mean, it's always going to be the guy from Outlander. Like Sam Heughan is my ultimate hottie, and
Right.
he happens to be a redhead.
Yes.
He's a little too buff for this, and
Yeah.
I think maybe a little too old at this point because he's in his mid to late 30s. Whereas I feel like Finn is early 30s.
Yeah, I think we at some point learned that he's 34
Yeah,
from the like Wikipedia entry
sure. Oh yeah. That's
at the
right.
very beginning.
So I mean, I'll watch Sam Heughan do anything.
Now, Sam Heughan is in a romantic comedy with Priyanka Chopra, and I had a hard time watching the trailer.
I did not watch. Okay, so I won't watch him in anything because I also stopped watching Outlander. I just look at pictures of him.
Oh, there you go. That's perfect.
And Instagram.
So here's my comment. Out of your list of women,
Yeah.
right, I
Yeah.
had an easier time placing the man of this than
Yeah.
the woman. My biggest comment is that she mentions more than once that she has stretch marks and that
Yeah.
she's not like a really skinny woman.
That's true.
And so I think Kat, what's her name to quote you?
Yes.
Is maybe the only one possibly who would fit the bill better than the others, just because
Sure.
they're all like very Hollywood
Yes.
skinny women.
I mean, I have stretch marks and I'm a tiny human.
Okay, fair.
But he does like there is conversations about how like she has an ass and she has large boobs.
Yes.
And so like it did feel like Rachel Lynn Solomon was writing for a larger bodied woman.
Or, a regular
yeah,
bodied woman.
a
who-
non-stick.
a not Hollywood stick.
Right. Absolutely.
So in the one that came to mind for me was Lena Dunham,
Sure.
because she sort of fits that
Mm-hmm.
blonde pixie haircut, not trying to be a Hollywood type.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
possibly Jewish. I don't know. I did not do research on Lena Dunham, but that was the kind of person I thought of.
Yeah.
That's someone who is not a Hollywood type. And then I genuinely think that this is secretly about Seth Green.
Yes. I cannot possibly go there. I can't, like, Seth Green is the least hot redhead I have ever considered. Like, least hot. So sorry, Seth. You're not my type. And so I want to counter your nerdery with Domhnall Gleeson.
From
He played the bad guy in one of the newer Star Wars movies.
okay.
He, you'd recognize him if you saw him.
Sure. The reason I thought it was Seth Green is because this character was on a very popular werewolf drama that was years ago and still has a giant fandom. Seth Green was on a very popular. He was in fact a werewolf on a very popular supernatural drama
Yeah.
that aired 15 years ago and is still very popular with its hardcore fans. And if anyone said that there is a Buffy reunion, I would watch the shit out of that.
Sure. It's just the character is never mentioned as being a very short, tiny human.
Very short is the only thing that is against Seth Green in this storyline.
Yeah.
Hard agree.
I would like to also counter Seth Green with Eddie Redmayne.
I mean, Eddie Redmayne at all times. Yes, please and thank you.
Could do the nerd part in a second. Is like gorgeous to look at. The freckles, because she's obsessed with his freckles.
Yes.
His freckles are gorgeous. And yeah.
Yeah, so, but for me, his appearance was very clear.
Yeah.
Her appearance, I had to keep reminding myself of what she looks like. And it is told from her point of view.
Right, so you want to be able to put yourself in those shoes.
Right, so it kind of makes sense that we don't know as much about what she looks like, but I did notice that about what was clear and unclear.
So the hardest thing for me about this book is when we first learn his actual name, because he gives her a fake name on their one-night stand. And to learn that his name is Finnegan, what I had to stop, and I had to look at my husband, and I had to look down at and then I looked up at my husband, looked down at my book, and I was like, babe. He goes, yeah, because he was looking at his phone. And I go, the love interest's name in this book is Finnegan. He goes, hell yeah. And I go, except he doesn't bring the O like you do.
Well, that's because you didn't get far enough into the book.
That's true. But what I'm saying is that my Finnegan spells his name with an O. Miss Finnegan does not.
It didn't occur to me at all, but then I'm not married to your husband, so that works out.
Goodness.
Yeah, it'd be weird.
I mean, like, we talk about it and agree on it, but like it was very strange to read someone's name. Like, no one's gonna use my name is too strange to be in a romance novel.
Unless it's a geek situation.
Very geek situation. I had such a hard time watching the Black Widow movie because her name was your name.
Yes.
And I was like, well, that's just so much. And so, like, I guess it was just very strange. So that was hard for me. And then I was like, oh, I did the, what I did with the True Blood TV show. I'm like, this is similar but different than the original content in my life.
Yes, definitely.
So I separated them in my brain. Then my only other sort of criticism about this book is that the first 3/4 of it are hot.
Yes.
It is maybe better than Today, Tonight, and Tomorrow. This might be her best book, in my opinion.
I mean, it's different because this is an adult novel and the other one is a teen novel. And I think for teens, they're going to say T3 is better.
Sure.
And for adults, we're going to gravitate towards this.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yes. It's like the slow build and all of the foreplay from the sex lessons, like, just absolutely phenomenal. And then the last quarter, like, was just like, we got to wrap it up. It's almost like I heard her editor say, your book is too long.
Yeah.
Cut. Because there's so much more that I wish I'd gotten. And maybe that's an outcome from loving the book so much I just wanted it to keep going.
Right.
But, like, I wanted a scene where Chandler tells her no-nonsense agent that she doesn't want to ghostwrite anymore and she wants to write cozy mysteries. Is that okay? Or, like, the scene where Finn meets her family. Like, we don't get that either. We don't
get that scene.
And and then, like, she kind of just smushes, like, oh, happy ending, goodbye.
Yeah.
And I wanted more of that, the great conversations they have and that relationship.
Yeah, and so on sort of in the same vein, but on a slightly different note, I want to bring up the black moment of this book.
Yeah.
Which isn't black.
No.
It is gray at best.
It's the light, like the leftmost gray on your Excel spreadsheet.
Yes.
When you choose to fill, it's like hinting lightly gray.
Slightly gray.
Yeah.
It's wonderful because it's a very adult moment, and I love reading those. Talia Hibbard is great at those. Chloe Leese is very good at those as well. And basically she says, I need to process this, I need some space, and he says, take the time you need, as opposed to like throwing a table or something,
Right.
which is the adult response is take the time you need, like find yourself and your time and your needs, and then we'll come together as two people who found their stuff. Lovely, wonderful adulting.
Did you feel I felt like maybe that was where the rushing began, because all of a sudden she was better and wanting to get back with him, and I was like, where I needed more of the internal. I needed a revelation. I never felt a revelation there.
I mean, having said that, her only hang up about them being together was that he didn't date outside of Hollywood, which is just silly. Like, just ask him. Also, people can change. Just accept that as a fact. And then her hang up about being with him is that she couldn't figure out the logistics. Right? It wasn't that she didn't want to be with him, and they've already had the conversation about the fact that they are both committed to the relationship. It's just that she couldn't understand the logistics of it. And so to me, it wasn't, I did think the end was rushed, but this particular bit of it wasn't, because it was like, she's a fully grown adult who's realized that she's hung up on a minor logistical issue, and that it can be solved when they have conversations about it.
I think her internal struggle of not feeling like she could be a successful writer under her own name, and like getting over that hurdle was another sort of step in the lightly gray moment, the gray sweatpants moment.
Yes.
So so that sort of resolves in their time apart. And then she kind of goes running back to him. Basically, for a book that is so great at the foreplay, I feel like we were missing on the aftercare.
I agree. That's a really good way of putting it. I have to bring this up because you just mentioned it.
The gray sweatpants?
Yes. So a lot of books do sexy forearms. This book did sexy gray sweatpants.
Yes.
And the only other book that comes to mind that does sexy gray sweatpants is Christina Lauren's Josh and Hazel's
Guide to
Not Dating. He is in the gray sweatpants a lot, and there's a lot about the sweatpants. This is the second occurrence of gray sweatpants as a sexiness factor.
Amazing. Like, do I just need some gray sweatpants for my androgynous persona?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes. Low on the hips, with the underwear showing.
Great. I mean, my underwear is like high-waisted, and so
all of that is a yes.
Okay, great, excellent.
Now that we've dressed you in sexy sweatpants,
I'm just wearing silky pajamas today.
Yes.
Excellent. So, as I mentioned, there's a lot of foreplay in this book, and Rachel Lynn Solomon defines it as the "teach me" trope. So, because Chandler is teaching Finn how to be better at sex, and that could be my new favorite trope. Could beat out Best Friends to Lovers for me. However, I was thinking back into other books that could fall into this trope, and maybe not, because the only books I could really think of was Rosie Dannon's Shameless series,
right? Roommate and The Intimacy Experiment.
Exactly, because those had sort of similar, like, teach me how to sex better.
Yes.
So, like, what do you think about this trope?
I mean, it's fraught with pitfalls, but it's kind of cute, because what I would have loved, like, they talk about the outline a lot, the outline of the lesson plans, and I needed to see the outline.
One of those interstitial.
Yes, I would have loved that, because if we're gonna like lean hard into, this is sort of an offshoot of like a teacher student trope, except not creepy. Because they're both fully grown adults,
right?
But like, it's definitely a hot for teacher situation. I mean,
I just, to go a little bit off script here, is like she did a really great job of making the ethics of it not a problem, even though the ethics of it could be a really big problem.
Agreed.
The fact that he's paying her to ghostwrite his book, and
right.
Yeah. that could have been really weird, and she's like, nah, it's fine, it was good. Yeah.
Agreed. That wasn't weird. And I think the openness that they both have about what's happening to them, how they're feeling about it, until the moment they like get all in their heads about their feelings.
Yeah.
Their physical relationship is very much a thing that they talk about a lot, and that's lovely. And I think that as a reader, I was like, they're both very comfortable in this, and I believe in it because it's been told to me and shown to me in the text. I do, however, wonder. Again, I'm bringing this up again. How bad is the American sex education system?
It's terrible.
That this was a required activity for an adult.
It was terrible. It's terrible. Can confirm. I do love that in the book there is text about how we now know that the clitoris is not just the bundle of nerves
right
under the vulva, but it's all structured within the like pelvic area.
Yeah.
And how we just learned that like a few years ago. And so, like, not only is the sexual education system garbage because it's state and, school board based, but it is also the science of female sexuality has been largely ignored and in favor of male sexuality. And I will go back to it because it's my sign at every women's march is that female orgasms are more regulated than guns. Because you have never seen a billboard for a female sex toy when you can see 100,000 billboards for ED meds.
Oh, yeah. So recently I saw a TV ad and I had to scream at it very loudly. It was for an ED med that now comes in mint flavored in mints. So it's a tin of mints and you can take a mint rather than a pill shaped like a pill. So not only are men's meds so much more developed than women's, but it is now also
they're removing the stigma from taking it publicly.
Yes, exactly. Whereas women are still in the land of having their bodies regulated by the men taking the mints.
Yes.
So just so y'all know, if he's taking a mint,
might not be a mint.
You
should ask him if you can have one.
Yes.
And see what the reaction
is. Again, not to shame anyone who has ED and is treating themselves for it.
But you are privileged.
So privileged. And I was just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Now the little blue pill is the little blue mint.
Yeah.
That was necessary. We needed to spend money on this medically instead of developing, I don't know, male contraception.
Yeah.
That is as effective as female like, come on now. I was so mad. I yelled at the TV so loud.
Yeah.
And it's the worst. It's truly the worst.
It's absolutely. So I can tell you my early 90s school sex ed was very I was going to say physical, and that doesn't sound right. It was definitely very anatomically forward and not actually sex positive forward. Like I remember very little about it. And just really a lot of anatomical drawings.
I see.
So
not sexy.
No, nor like very abstinence forward.
Yeah.
And like never rolled a condom on a banana.
Oh, okay.
So like
I have an adorable story about that. So I was very fortunate because I went to an arts high school.
Sure.
Not only was our sex ed very sex positive and talked about the female orgasm as well as the male orgasm, but we also had a troupe of actors and we went to all the other high schools in the district and delivered sex ed talks. And the idea there was that like it's a peer-to-peer conversation as opposed to an adult telling a teenager what to do with their body. And so it was more relatable, and when they saw other teenagers talking openly about their sexuality or their sexual experiences, it removed the stigma. So I was in the minority of people who not only had good sex ed but also then like developed material about it and delivered it to others. And so my funniest experience of that is one of our performers rolled a condom onto a banana.
Mm-hmm.
And we went through the whole like pinch the tip, don't bite the foil, like that whole thing. And then someone goes, "How do you take it off?"
Oh.
And the actor looks at the banana and looks back at the audience member and looks at the banana and whacks it on the table several times. And then he goes, "By the time you roll it off, it's flaccid, so I don't know how to do it without this bit."
Oh, God. Softening the banana,
Yes,
so to speak.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, my God.
And it was just, and I was like, that's not exactly, but I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's crazy is that I had a similar experience in working with a theater company that had a sexual education performance that they toured to different high schools. And this was professional actors, adults. But the shit I learned from working on that production, because the actors also had to be health educators.
Mm-hmm.
So part of the rehearsal prep is that each of them would take a topic, study the topic, and then do a presentation for everybody. So it was always like updates on STDs and like I learned, even though I went through this very anatomical sex ed class, your ovaries are the size of an almond. Your what's the
Fallopian
the
tubes?
fallopian tubes. All I could think of was the vas deferens, which is the male one.
Yes.
The fallopian tubes are a 6-inch spaghetti string. Like they're that small. Like your anatomy is tiny.
Yes, which is why when that whole anatomy grows a 14-pound baby, you should pray to that person.
Yeah.
You should worship them as the goddess that they are, because
their organs have rearranged
completely, and it is unclear how this magic is happening.
Yeah.
And like my babies were not 14 pounds, but I did the magic and I'm still not sure how it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand physiologically, but like my brain can't wrap itself around the fact that my body did that.
Yeah. So there's information out there that you can learn, and definitely trusted websites. I mean, Teen Vogue has a video about the female hormonal system surrounding menstruation and the hormones, not just the menstruation hormones, but why you get pimples on their 10th day. And like, it's a delightful video. So there's information out there. If you feel like you're, not you personally, but you listener.
I think I figured it out by now, but thank you. You, the viewer, please go to Teen Vogue's website.
They're doing a lot of great work, and there's a lot of good information out there, but you have to check your sources. Always check your sources.
Yes. Well, you also the thing that I keep hearing is that you have to. Like, it isn't implied that this information is going to exist, particularly for those teens who live in stricter spaces, and they may not know a lot of this. One more thing before one more thing.
Yeah.
So two separate things.
Great.
Thing the first, there is an artist out there that is making necklaces in the shape of the actual clitoris, like the entire clitoris organ.
Yeah.
And I love it, and I want one, and I then want people to ask me what the wishbone on my necklace is about.
Yeah.
Because it's not a wishbone.
Yeah.
But it kind of looks like one.
Yeah.
And then thing the second, to bring us back to the book in terms of sex education, I feel like the reason why her abortion is brought up so many times is to also normalize the existence and the presence of and the decision making for abortions.
Right.
And I did think that it was a little on the nose, because she kept being like, I don't think about it a lot, but let's talk about it several times. Right. And I realized that I think Rachel Lynn Solomon is putting it in there so that it is a commonplace topic.
Yes.
So that it is a thing that just happens
as
a medical procedure, that it is.
And the character, like, she says, I don't tell everybody, just people I trust. And I think that normalizes that people don't have to talk about their abortions in order to be heard. And she talks about her abortion, what it was like, what her experience was, what this character's experience was. And that's phenomenal because I've had somebody talk to me or tell me that they've had an abortion, but they didn't tell me about their experience. So this is the first time I know how it works in general, or I know the different ways it could work, but this was really great to have sort of a narrative experience. And I stopped in the middle of that and in that section because the character's talking about how her mom went with her and held her hand and was there for her in a supportive way. And I was like, I would absolutely be that person for somebody. If they needed it, I could absolutely do that. But I would also, like, what do people want to do after their abortions? You go for ice cream? Do you
I imagine
get pancakes? Like,
I mean,
and how to make it not about like, hey, what do you want to do now? You've just like kind of taking the lead and doing the right thing without having to ask.
I mean, you then have terrible cramps. So
Yeah.
like, whatever.
Do you
is...
want to not? You probably don't want to be in public.
Yeah, like,
so let's get it to go.
Yeah. So here's a hot water bottle and fuzzy socks and a tub of ice cream.
We're not wearing our fuzzy socks.
I know we are not. So neither one of us has undergone that procedure recently and do not require fuzzy socks.
I'll wear fuzzy socks for whatever reason.
I mean, fair. I know. I just regulated fuzzy socks for only one purpose.
I mean, let's talk about that. Would be some great coding,
right?
Like,
if you're wearing fuzzy socks,
yes.
it means
please
give me space and maybe a hot water bottle.
Yeah, and some aftercare.
That does not feel like a good place to take a break, but maybe like a place for a reset. Maybe it is a good place to take a break.
Yeah, absolutely. And
if you're ready.
I am ready, and I just want to say, I don't know if the person who told me about their abortion is listening, but that has been a really important moment for me in my life. And so if you're a person who has experienced that and are comfortable talking about that, it could be a very important thing for other people to experience.
Yeah, so, to hear and to like have it not be stigmatized.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you have the bravery, I would appreciate it. So, people out there, I love you.
On that, we are going to take a break on that. No, we're going to take an intermission. When we come back, we will discuss our favorite moments from the book and if this book made us want to get naked. All right. I love that there was some
whispering.
Whispering and some more technology.
Yes.
Mild fails.
Is it a touchscreen or is it not? Is it the world we live in?
I'm very sorry. I will from here on out only present you with touchscreens.
I'm not saying this is on you. I'm saying as a society, we could engineer better devices that, like, it's the push-pull door. Generally, if it's a push or a pull based on the handle. I'm feeling like we could, I don't know, engineer something structurally to clue in the observer that it's a touchscreen. Anywho, we are back.
We are back. And we're talking about push-pull doors.
Yes.
No, we're talking about Rachel Lynn Solomon's new book, Business or Pleasure.
You did it without the preprepositional phrase.
I used all my brain cells.
I saw you edit. You muted yourself, and then you said the rest.
I sure did.
Yeah.
It's not Rachel Lynn Solomon. It's me. I'm the problem.
The problem is you.
Yes,
as Taylor Swift.
Exactly.
What was your favorite part of this book, or the most compelling part of this book for you?
The most adorable part of the book for me was when she tells him that he was terrible in bed.
Yep.
And then he texts his exes to confirm.
Yeah.
And then he tells her that he texted his exes.
Yeah.
And that they all agree that he's just been really bad at this. And, like, the fact that he did the texting in the first place, though he admits that it might have been drunk texting. And the fact that he then tells her about it just endeared him to me so much. It was the cutest, loveliest, like, yes, please, all people should be this honest. Adorable. Just adorable. And the fact that, like, people were like, yeah, you really blew at this. And he was like, let's fix it. Versus, like, I realized that might have been a wrong phrase for this.
I feel like, though, in the kind of bad sex he had been performing, blowing on it would have been the wrong thing.
Yes. Yes, because he didn't know where he was blowing.
No.
Yes.
And he would have blown too hard.
And it was a whole
And
thing.
some spittle, like, but not in a sexy way. Yeah. I have to say mine is that part as well. Like, they have this conversation by the river in one of these cities because they're traveling.
There's lots of river conversations.
Look, you can say anything by a river.
Apparently.
The river gods are listening, though.
God.
Word. And so they make this deal, and when they're having this conversation, there's a lot of like energy between them, and it's so well written, and I'm like, oh, hello. And that was the beginning of the foreplay.
Right.
For me as the reader. It's like, this is hot. Like, the conversation was really clear and like no ego and just like all of it hands down. I was like, oh, I'm here for this book and I will not be putting it down anytime soon.
Well, it starts with him asking her what is her preferred way of orgasming versus all the other people in the world. And there's a very similar moment in the new Allie Hazelwood.
Yeah.
Where he asks her the specific, like he wants her to tell him the specifics.
Yeah.
And very different results in what happens here and what happens, different stories.
Great.
So highly recommend the new Allie Hazelwood, Love Theoretically as well.
Great.
For not the same reasons, but also very steamy.
Sure. It I think another moment that gets honorable mention is when he has a cold and he swings the door open and he has the comforter around him, like we've all been there. Like, it was a very cinematic moment, like you can tell.
Yes.
And then like he gets drunk on Dayquil. Like, who gets drunk on Dayquil firstly?
I mean, some people, clearly not me. Dayquil is my jam.
Yeah. We call it casting armor in our house.
Oh.
Because even when you're starting to feel a tickle, you can cast armor.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Same in our household.
Excellent.
Yes. But I have like really, like I can't do NyQuil because then I will sleep for 24 hours. Like, it's a whole
So
situation.
you're sensitive to NyQuil, but not the Dayquil.
Yes. And it has to be specifically the brand.
Yeah.
Because if I once did a Tylenol one that looks similar but not the same, and I ended up raking a plastic fork through on someone's thigh, and just being like, the noise of the fork on the thigh was and then I asked if the frogs on the wall were lickable. Like, I went places.
You got hot. You got drunk.
I got very drunk on the
Tylenol.
Tylenol version. The Dayquil brand, I'm solid with, but something about the other brands that really loops me up in a not great. Yeah, there's so many stories from my exes about caring for my hot mess person while I am high on cold meds. So please be careful with your cold meds.
Yeah, Sudafed turns me into a bitch, like a raging bitch.
Okay.
So I don't take the red pills. Blue pills only.
Blue pills only. Very good.
Yeah, like it's hard to pick just one like good moment. There were so many good moments in this book.
There are a lot of good moments. There's a couple of discussions that I wish had more. I think this is another moment of like, did we edit?
Yeah. Did we need to cut down for page count or word count or something?
Right. Like, there's very late in the book, there's a conversation that he has with her about punching down and not punching down to make his own success stand on its own merits as opposed to in comparison to someone else's failure.
Yeah.
And there's like 2 sentences about it. And I love that conversation, and I wanted more in that world.
Yeah, I wanted more resolution for that whole
relationship.
Yeah, that the one of his co-stars from this teen fantasy TV show is an asshole, and no one really stands up to him.
No.
And like, I kept replaying a scene where she just says, I really would appreciate you stop making fun of my art and insulting me and insulting my friend Finn here. Like, she could have just absolutely called him out. Maybe he wouldn't have changed, but she would have gotten the opportunity to say something.
That is a moment.
Yeah.
So when they do the reunion thing, I thought that there would be something in that section.
Yes, me too.
And then it wasn't there. And it was just Finn saying, I'm not.
Who would you cast for that guy's role? Because I have one in my head.
And who is yours?
It's Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, good.
Because he talks about being in the next Indiana Jones movie.
Oh,
he talks about like
yes.
jumping out of a plane and kind of
Yeah.
being. It's Shia LaBeouf.
Oh
to
my
me.
god, it is because yeah, he did all of the he did the Transformers movie.
Yeah.
And then he did the Indiana. You're absolutely right. It is I'm not. No.
I think better of Shia LaBeouf than this character for sure.
Mm.
Like I'm one of those people who believes he is trying to be a better person, or just not be what society has labeled him as.
I see.
I have hope for Shia.
Yay! Well, there's a song about it.
I mean, that is one reason why. The fact that he participated in that, I'm like, this guy has a sense of humor. This guy, there's a real human in there somewhere.
Right.
So, and then like all of his performance art, like people are like, it's so pretentious, and I'm like, is it, or is it actually saying something really deep and meaningful?
Right.
So, hot take on business or pleasure.
Absolutely yes. The thing that this book made me think a lot about, and I am in case it isn't self-evident, I'm a fairly open person in my communication, whether it has to do with everyday life or sexual encounters. And the thing that it made me think about is how many not great sexual experiences were in my life that could have been improved by me giving direction.
Interesting.
And not feeling comfortable enough in that situation or with that partner to like stop them in their terrible decision making and swerve it into a better decision.
Interesting. Sure.
Right? Like how many times I didn't correct someone and the correction probably would have made the experience more enjoyable for both of us because we would have both benefited from clearer instructions.
Yeah.
And like how long does it take me with a partner to feel comfortable being like, these are the instructions to my vagina?
Yeah.
Please and thank you.
Yeah.
Like here's the map, find the road, have a great day. Like, do I need to print a little
a map quest?
A map. Yeah, exactly.
A map quest with the
okay, that would be
steps and
adorable. I would be all in on someone handing me a little like diagram map situation, maybe a cathedral and like it could be symbolic.
Sure. Step 3, blow on it a little.
Yeah. Yeah, suck on it, but not for too long.
Yeah, right amount of pressure.
The humming is a weird thing if you're into it. Otherwise, hard pass.
Right. Yes, and I think that is also part of what was really my hot take is hell yes as well. Yes. And that's what was really, I think, stimulating for me is because I am not one of those communicating people. Because I grew up repressed and I'm still unpacking all of that. And that was really, it was very liberating for me to read that in another character because that means there are people out there who do that thing. And I'm aware that people are out there and can talk about their things.
But you've not read them on the page.
Right. And then like, there were some things that like I was like, that's how I would describe that too. I have words now.
Oh, that's
so
great.
Like it was really nice to read that and be aroused by that. I was like, oh, okay. Talking can be sexy.
Yes.
Not just sexy talk, separate.
Right.
Sexy talk is a separate.
Yes. Just having an honest and open conversation about your needs is absolutely sexy.
But I think it's also you have to figure out what works for you.
I mean, yes.
You have to know those things in order to be able to instruct somebody else.
Yes, and I think in a society where women are taught that they're supposed to be virginal until their wedding day.
Yeah. And not self-pleasure.
And there's no self-pleasure ever. And like there's all of these ridiculous, outdated, unreal, not true rules that so many women still follow. That it is really hard for some people to be like, this is what's pleasurable, this is what works. And then to also understand that over time, that changes.
Yeah.
That things that worked 10 years ago are not things that are going to work today because we change, like our bodies change, our perception of ourselves changes, our understanding of the world at large changes, and all of that learned history is part of our sexual history as well. Yeah.
I mean, I can confirm the things that were really stimulating for me in bed are not the same things anymore. And I've had to figure out, well, how would I communicate what works now? And so this book has like led me to think about how to communicate how things have changed. So yeah. Did this book make me want to get naked? Yes, but I also could not stop reading.
Right. I had to finish the book, and now that I finished the book,
Yeah.
and we're gonna finish recording this episode.
You're gonna run?
I gotta do some stuff.
Yeah. I know you're sleeping on an air mattress, so best of luck.
No joke. No joke. If you can imagine having sex on a balloon, you're there.
I could have sex in a hot air balloon.
That would also be bumpy, but not as squeaky as what I imagine my life
Very
is about
chilly.
to be. Very chilly.
So many breezes across
Yes,
parts.
the thing that I have never thought about before is that sleeping on an air mattress is cold.
Yes, the air gets cold.
Inside the air mattress.
Oh, I didn't tell you. The trick is to put a blanket layer.
Yeah, did not do that,
So
and
sorry.
I have been freezing. In fact, this morning I was accused of the blanket mountain that I created on top of myself
Yes.
because it's freezing.
Yes.
It's freezing.
Yes. I'm so sorry. I did
well,
not warn you.
pro tip, put a blanket on it.
Put a blanket under it.
Under it. Put a blanket under it.
Not under but between your sheet.
Between yourself and the sheet
Yeah.
and the air mattress.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. What was your did this make you want to get naked? Yes, you're running.
I mean,
you're running.
sex
You've
on a
already
balloon.
answered that.
Yes.
You've already sex on a balloon. Amazing. I don't know how to end this episode other than that.
Well, we can talk about what we're reading
Oh,
next.
great, yes.
Or, the fact that we're about to change our setup again.
Yay!
Yes. So, season 3 has been a technological roller coaster.
It was an experiment in seeing your face.
Yeah. Yes.
To getting you in your face next to my face.
Excellent. The faces have been faced.
Yep.
And I feel like we finally dialed it in just in time for us to break it all down.
Yeah, by the way, y'all, this might be our season finale. We didn't tell the people.
I mean, or
we
actually spend time with each other online.
I mean, we're gonna do that too. I think we just, are we gonna keep going after you get set up in place number 2?
I guess for the listeners, stay tuned. But
Yeah.
for the people in this room,
Mid-season finale then?
this is just in my head, this is a mid-season,
Great,
possibly break.
Yeah.
If we don't get set back up
Great.
in time for the next episode to release in the pattern.
Oh.
But yes, I would like for this to be a mid-season hiatus.
Excellent.
Perhaps hiatus, perhaps just break. And not in...
See you next summer.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to abbreviate see you next summer.
I was just gonna say, stay cool, see you next summer, just like in every high school yearbook.
See you next fall?
C-U-N-S.
C-U-N-S. Yes.
C-U-N-S. But not.
Right.
This is really great. What are you reading next?
Such content. I think I'm doing the 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston
Yeah.
because I have it in my library queue, so I think that's where I'm headed. And after that, I think I'm gonna do Fourth Wing because the internet has told me that
Yeah.
I should.
I opened one like Instagram fanfic like drawing of one of the characters, and I was like, uh-huh.
Oh, okay. I'll need to see that.
We'll see if I can find it again, but I was like, meow.
Oh, okay, very good.
He's
Now
sexy.
now I'm very excited for it. So I think that's where I'm headed.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing 7-Year Slip and then Fourth Wing. And if they are good enough, I'm going to insist that we record episodes about them.
Okay. I am swerving away from romance just briefly to read the next Martha Wells. I've started. I am slightly concerned that the length of this book is like a normal novel length and not a fantasy novel length.
Right. No one told her that it needs to be 800 pages.
It needs to be 500 at least, min. And I feel like it's clocking in the 300s, so I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. But I've started it. It's interesting. I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm going to be like, when are they going to kiss? I'm sure that's going to happen. Where's the kissing
Nice.
scene? And then I'm not sure what I'm doing after that. I've got a couple of books that I've been kicking the can down the road from the library. So, and I'm trying to tackle more of this physical TBR stack back here. So
Very nice.
We'll see.
Well, on that note, happy mid-season break.
Happy mid-season break. See you next summer.
We're going to
Thank
take
you
an
for joining
intermission.
us for an episode
When we come
of
back,
Booklandia.
we will discuss
For
our
more
favorite moments from the
Booklandia,
book.
follow us on
and if this
YouTube,
book made us want to
Facebook,
get
and
naked.
Instagram at l.skyford, Twitter at skyfordl, and hit up our blog, lskyford.com.
We love you to the moon and back, so don't forget to rate and subscribe.
Our eternal thanks for the audio editing and support provided by Finnegan Murphy, who you can find on Twitter at Finnegan1, that's FIONNEGAN, numeral 1, and sometimes Sky herself.